Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today it is election day, November 5th, 2024. Absolutely cannot believe how quickly time has flown by, but today's election day and this will be my final video before the 2024 presidential election, and I thought it'd be fun to go over the poll closings in every single state and give you the time when the polls are going to be closing in their respective states. And in doing so, I'm using the website 270ToWin's poll closing times map. And I'm just going to go over the poll closings and tell you what states are closing and especially what states that are really important are closing. So starting at 6 p.m., there are two states that have their polls, or a lot of the part of the states close at 6 p.m. Those are Indiana and Kentucky. However, I do want to mention it is very important to note that the polls for a state do not officially close, whereas the entire state is closed until all parts of the state are closed. So for example, the state of Michigan, even though it's mostly 8 p.m., the polls in the state do not officially close entirely until 9 p.m. since there's a part of the state that's in the 9 p.m. time slot. So even though Michigan's polls, well, you may start getting results before 9 p.m., that won't mean the polls are officially closed in the entire state, only in the parts of the state. So Indiana and Kentucky will have some areas closed at 6 p.m., and the final parts will close at 7 p.m. In addition, Virginia, South Carolina, and Georgia, and Vermont have their polls all closed at 7 p.m. Florida does not officially close its polls until 8 p.m., but a large part of the state does have its polls closed around 7 p.m. So we will start to get some results from Florida well before the 8 p.m. final poll closing where the entire state is closed. We'll get some results coming in from the state of Florida. Obviously, from the 7 p.m. poll closings, the most important state to watch for is the state of Georgia. This is the most contested battleground state of this poll closing time. And this is going to be 16 electoral votes. That is absolutely crucial to who wins the presidential election. Looking at our battleground map, Harris and Walz have 226 electoral votes. Trump and Vance have 219. There are 93 electoral votes up for grabs, and Georgia's 16 electoral votes are absolutely a crucial part among them. Now, Georgia is also very important. Florida is obviously very important as well, as is the state of Virginia. Virginia is a state that is expected to go for Kamala Harris. Republicans, for a little bit of time, are hoping to win the state of Virginia. And depending on how Virginia is looking, that could be a sign at maybe how Kamala Harris is performing. For instance, if she's winning it by 2020 numbers that Joe Biden did, that could be a sign she's overperforming and doing quite well. If it's a very, very close race and it's under 5% of the vote, that could be a sign Trump is potentially outperforming in a lot of suburban areas, which could have ripple effects throughout the country on election night. That'll be one to watch for. Now at 7:30 p.m., we have poll closings in 3 states, Ohio, West Virginia, and North Carolina. Obviously, the most important of these is Ohio used to be a swing state, not so much anymore. North Carolina is the most important of these 3 states. North Carolina, a very important toss-up state. It's 16 electoral votes. Also, it was one of the top 7 battleground states in the United States to watch for on election night. North Carolina, very, very important to watch for at 7:30 p.m. West Virginia, we fully expect to be a safe Donald Trump state. Ohio, we're expecting to be somewhere between a likely and a safe Donald Trump state. I think probably around a 10%, 9% margin of victory for Trump in Ohio is what I'm expecting right now. But certainly at 7:30, North Carolina is the state I'm watching the closest. For the 8 p.m. poll closings, it's all about the state of Pennsylvania. This is when Pennsylvania closes. This is perhaps the most important battleground state in the entire 2024 election. 8 p.m. Pennsylvania has its polls closed. 19 electoral votes out of the state of Pennsylvania. This very well may be the state that picks whether Donald Trump or Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States. Very, very important in Pennsylvania. Lots of other states closing its polls at 8 p.m. as well, including Maine, which will have an important electoral vote in the 2nd district that may go for Donald Trump, may not. We're going to have to wait and see. New Hampshire, 4 electoral votes, which has not been considered much of a toss-up this election cycle, but the polls have gotten close in the final few days. I believe Harris is now leading by 4 points, so that could potentially be a battleground come election day. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm not expecting it to be too close, but we'll wait and see what the polls end up looking like on election day. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, all expected to go heavily Democratic. Illinois will be a Democratic state. Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Oklahoma will be Republican states. As well, we also have some poll closings for most of the parts of Texas, Kansas, South Dakota, and North Dakota, but they will not officially close their polls until 9 p.m. until all the state is completed. And also, a big percentage of Michigan, as I mentioned, will have its polls closed at 8 p.m. That'll be interesting to watch to see as votes start coming in. Most importantly, at 8 p.m., though, is certainly Pennsylvania. At 9 p.m., this is where we have a lot of large states finish its poll closings reportings. New York will close, as will the rest of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, the rest of Texas, the rest of Kansas, Louisiana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. Lots of very, very important states poll closings at this time. Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota. These are 4 states that seem to be at least in play and are very, very competitive right now. On our battleground map, Minnesota I have as lean Democratic, so not a toss-up state, but lean Democratic right now. Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan are 3 very, very important battleground states that will decide who the next president of the United States is. So those 3 states are very, very important at the 9 p.m. poll closing time. So Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Arizona are certainly the most important states I'm watching at 9 p.m. Now at the 10 p.m. level, we have poll closings in the state of Montana, about half of Idaho, Utah, and Nevada. So Idaho's polls won't officially close until 11, again for the rest of the state to come in, but the state of Nevada is certainly the most important poll closings at 10 p.m. And Nevada's 6 electoral votes is also, I believe, the final battleground state that I've not yet gone over in the poll closings. This will be very, very important to watch for on election night, Nevada and its 6 electoral votes. Now we're going to look at the 11 p.m. poll closings, where the rest of Idaho closes, as well as Washington, the rest of Oregon, California. These 3 states will make up a big chunk of Democratic electoral votes, and they will close at 11 p.m. The final poll closings are in the state of Alaska and Hawaii. These will both be called around midnight Eastern Standard Time, and that will be the last batch of poll closings that we have. So it's very, very interesting. On election night, some things that I'm watching, we're going to, as I mentioned, the states like Michigan and Florida, where not all the polls in the state close at the same time, we're going to see some vote numbers coming in out of those states before the final poll closings times, as I mentioned, because they close earlier in parts of the state. It'll be interesting because it'll probably be like a small percentage of votes. Florida does typically count very quickly, so we may get a large amount there, but Michigan will probably have small numbers, as will states like Texas and maybe potentially Michigan, so that'll be something to watch for as well. As for when we can start expecting a large percentage of results, it's different from each election. I expect Florida to count quickly. Georgia, I think, will actually count quicker than it did in 2020. We'll probably have a good idea on Georgia at the latest by like midnight to 11 p.m. I think we'll have a pretty good idea of how that's going. North Carolina, I think, is very similar. Probably around midnight, we'll have a good idea of how that's looking. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, I expect these states to be very, very close, some of the closest states in the country. I would not be shocked if these go late into the morning, 4, 5, 6 a.m., before we have a really good idea of how these states are looking, since they're expected to be that close. Again, we never really know until Election Day actually happens how they look, but I certainly expect Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin to be very, very close and go late into the November 6th morning. Arizona and Nevada, it's interesting because right now Donald Trump has about a 2.5-point lead in Arizona in the polls, which if that's the case, we may get an Arizona call before midnight on election night. As for the state of Nevada, again, this one's looking pretty close. This one went on for a few days in 2020. I think getting this around 3 to 4 a.m. would probably be the earliest I'm expecting Nevada to go, especially considering its polls do close at 10 p.m. It is closing later than some of the other toss-ups, so I don't think getting it by midnight is realistic. I think 3 to 4 a.m. for Nevada is probably the earliest we're going to hear the final results in the state. So as for my personal prediction, I do think that we're not going to know on election night by midnight. We're not going to know whether Donald Trump or Kamala Harris won the 2024 election. I think we're probably going to have a decent idea by about 4 to 5 a.m. on November 6th. And I don't know what your plans are for election night. I'll be staying up for it. I don't want to miss a second of it, so I'll be staying awake to see what's going on. I'm not sure if I'll have a video out the second Trump or Harris is declared the winner, because I'm not totally sure it'll be in the morning of November 6th, but that's when I think it's going to happen. But there'll be something to keep an eye out for. I'll certainly try and have a video done the day of November 6th, giving an update on what is happening if a winner has not yet been crowned. But I don't think we're going to have a winner by midnight on election night, unless it's completely a blowout for one candidate or another. It would have to be a massive blowout to have a call by midnight. I think it's more likely we're probably going to get a call somewhere around 4 to 5 a.m. And, I mean, this election's really close. It's really, really close right now. The final battleground polls, just a quick refresh here. Trump is leading in Arizona by 2.3, Nevada 1.5. Harris is taking the lead in Wisconsin by 0.2. Harris is up by 0.7 in Michigan. Trump is up by 0.4 in Pennsylvania. Trump is up 1.5 in North Carolina. And Trump is up by 2.6 in Georgia. So all the polling data shows a very, very close competitive race where Trump can win Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, and Georgia and still not have enough to win the presidency. He needs one of the three Rust Belt states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and all of them are super, super close, under 1% margin of victory for Harris and Trump in these areas. So this is very, very close, and that's a big reason why I think we're going to go late into the early morning on November 6th before we can make a call. But that is going to be my final video of the 2024 election season before Election Day 2024. This video is coming out on noon on November 5th on Election Day, so let me be the first to say to you, if you've not yet been told this, happy Election Day. Make sure you get out and vote if you have not yet done so. This election is super close, and your vote really may make the difference between your preferred candidate winning or losing, so make sure you get out and vote. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If you've been a returning viewer, thank you for watching all of my videos leading up until the 2024 election, and I hope to see you after the election when I do my breakdown videos as well. Please remember to like this video, click subscribe, tap the bell icon to get notified when I post a new video so you never miss a video from me going forward. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in a future video. That will do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a like. And if you really liked it, please remember to click the subscribe button and make sure you turn post notifications on so you always get notified when I post a new video. That way you never miss one. Also, please remember to share this video with your friends and family if you really, really, really like the video. And remember to stay tuned because I'll be posting at least one video every single day leading up until Election Day. So I'd really appreciate it if you keep coming back and watching those videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.